Now, there are some people who say, oh, I'm so unworthy of grace. Well, my dear friend, join the club, would you? Would you? We're all unworthy of it. That's the whole point. Grace is God's unmerited favor, undeserved, unearned, and never recompensed. That's the whole point of grace. Some people say, well, I have to make myself ready to receive grace by a proper amount of sorrow. There is a sorrow that leads to repentance, no doubt about that. But how do you know when you have enough sorrow finally? Somebody else, like an alcoholic, said to me, well, I hope to receive Christ sometime, but I need to know that I will be able to hold out. So I'm going to wait until I know I can get off the bottle. Forget it. You're going to wait until you know that you can hold out? You're going to wait forever, my friend. Because you're never going to know that. Grace is a free gift, and you come as you are. Notice, number one, it sets aside all human effort. Secondly, it is unaffected by the degree of our sin. Thirdly, it takes us all the way to heaven. Fourthly, it is a gift of God. And finally, it is very difficult to accept. Very difficult to accept. Somebody listening to this says, well, you know what they do there at the Moody Church? They just preach this business of cheap grace. I want you to know today that to accept the grace of God is difficult, though it is a free gift. Let me tell you two categories of people that find it difficult to accept God's grace. Luther said that the natural man is on a pendulum and he swings between pride and despair. So first of all, we're going to talk about those who are in despair. The drug addict, the child molester, the murderer, the practicing homosexual, the adulterer, the alcoholic. All of these people find it difficult to accept God's grace frequently because what they're saying in themselves is, if you only knew, God is so mad at me, there's no way that I'm going to talk to him about this. He's just waiting in heaven ready to spew me out of his mouth. He's so angry. Oh, what a wretch I am. And so they look at other people and they revise their estimation of themselves downward because they say, I am unworthy. And they find it hard to receive God's grace. Then there's another category, those goody two-shoes religious types. Somebody was asked one time, what is the greatest sin you've ever committed? He said, I was out on a golf course and I got real mad and hit the ball real far. Oh, how could you do something that terrible? I can't believe it. First of all, let me say that I think he did other things that were far worse than that, if he were honest. The religious types find it very hard to be honest. But number two, those who say, as people have told me on the plane, I've heard it so often, they say, I think I have just as good a shot at heaven as anybody else. And they look at other people and they revise their estimation of themselves upward because they can tell you 100 people who are worse off than they are. And so they say, I got a good shot. Listen to me very carefully. Those people are farther from the kingdom of heaven than the other category that I have listed. And that is why Jesus said to the religious types of his day, the prostitutes will go into the kingdom of heaven ahead of you folks. Because you still think that somehow works are involved. And as a result of your thinking that works are involved, why you look to yourself and do not understand that you are as wretched before me as all the folks whom you think are so much worse than you are. You see, these folks are insulted when they are told that as far as God is concerned, they are in the same category as all the other sinners. They are insulted when they are told that what they need is not divine help, they need a resurrection. Let me be very clear to you today and say this, that when you come to Christ, it is not to give, it is to receive. The idea of works is so ingrained within us that even in the terminology which many people who should know better use, we find works. For example, I hear people say, now what I'm going to do is to challenge my friends to commit themselves to Christ. Well, I want to think about that a little bit. What do you mean to commit yourself to Christ? It's true that we as Christians commit ourselves to Christ. Paul says he is able to keep that which I've committed unto him against that day. But what are you expecting these people exactly to commit? I had a friend who used to witness this way. He says, I challenge people to pledge their allegiance to Jesus Christ. Pledge allegiance to Jesus Christ. There's a famous evangelist whom I have frequently admired, and some of you might know who he is, but he gave an invitation one time, and he said, I'm going to invite you to come forward, and those of you who are coming forward, he says, you are making a promise to follow Christ. I thought, there's some of us who have lived the Christian life for decades, and we still are struggling to follow Christ. And now you're asking all those people to come and to follow Christ? What if they make their promise to follow Christ and then go home and break it an hour later? Now what? Will you listen to me very carefully? When you come to Christ to be saved, you come to receive. You do not come to give. You do not come to receive help. You come to be rescued. You do not come to be made better, though that happens, thank God, but you come to be resurrected. You come helplessly, but you come to the only God who can speak to a graveyard and can cause a corpse to live. And you can never take care of your problem just by getting real serious about it.